Can hear you. Okay. Hi everyone. Welcome to A Girl in Love with Tech podcast. My name is Rachel Rabo. I think we are having issues on LinkedIn, but hopefully that works. Okay. It's not working, but okay, let's just leave that. I've been having issues with working on LinkedIn. So okay, so welcome to welcome to A Girl in Love with Tech podcast. My name is Rachel Rabo. I'm a Microsoft Learn student ambassador, a Power Platform developer, and a Dynamics 365 CRM developer. And our special guest today is Mary.
Hello.
Yeah, and we are going to be discussing about Business Central, Dynamics 365 Business Central, and how it works with Microsoft Power Platform. Hi, Mary.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank
Good.
you.
Yeah, thanks for
Yeah.
having me. I'm so excited to be here today.
Yeah. Thank you so much. And thank you for accepting my invitation.
Of course, of course.
Yeah. Thank you. And this podcast is, I think we're having issues on LinkedIn. So it's streamed live on YouTube and also on Twitter. Yeah. So join us. Yeah. And hi, Mary, if you can introduce yourself.
Yes, absolutely. So, hello, my name is Mary Myers, and I'm obsessed with the Power Platform and just kind of helping as many people as possible learn about the Power Platform. But what I do
Yeah.
specifically in my day-to-day job as well is work on extending Business Central and other Dynamics products, but mostly Business Central with the Power Platform, and really just
Okay.
helping companies and organizations really hyper automate their day-to-day business processes that they're
Yeah.
doing inside Business Central. So, yeah.
Yeah. That's amazing. I love the extending part of it. It's really, really amazing. Yeah. Kudos.
Well, and I guess what the thing is what's fun about it is I started off in like a user group, right? I've only been in the tech space for like 5 years, but I took my
Yeah.
industry knowledge, right, prior to being in the
Okay.
tech industry and applied it inside of
Yeah.
tech. And so it's a really, strong message for anyone out there that says like you don't have to
Yeah.
be from a like traditional tech background. You can get
Yeah.
into the tech space where you're at. So yeah.
Yeah. True. Yeah. Very, really true. And I have a question to ask you. Like, how did you start your journey with Dynamics 365 Business Central?
So I started my journey with it back in 2018. It was a new product. The partner that I was
Okay.
working for at the time, they covered F&O, and I was an F&O or AX consultant.
Okay.
And they needed somebody to learn Business Central so that they could start to
Yeah.
support customers on that. And I said, well, I
Okay.
know how to use different ERP systems. I've used various ERP
Yeah.
systems in my previous experiences. So I can jump online, I can read the documents, I'll get my demo
Yeah.
environment, and I'll go through and I'll start like testing and learning and stuff. So that's
Yeah.
kind of how I learned Business Central. Really, just kind of self-taught myself. Was an early adapter, and then it just
Okay.
kind of rolled up my sleeves and helped others get started.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's really amazing. Like moving from ERP to Business Central. I think for our audience, that's okay. Maybe this is the first time you're hearing about Dynamics 365 Business Central. So,
Mhm.
what is Business Central?
Yeah, so Business Central is going to be a cloud-based ERP system. And what an
Yeah.
ERP system is, it's the actual terminology for it is enterprise resource planning system. And all
Okay.
that means is it is like the computer system that a company uses to run their business, right? It allows
Okay.
them to
Yeah.
be able to have an understanding of what orders do they have out for customers? What purchase
Okay.
orders do they need to have? How many sales have they done, right? It's this place that kind of
Yeah.
like your accountants, your CFOs, the people that,
Okay.
really care about all that type of stuff, financial and kind of operational insight into how the business is running, and then also
Yeah.
allows to track and kind of create these documents that you send to your customers and your
Okay.
vendors, right? So it's just the computer systems that companies use to run their businesses.
Okay.
A similar product, right? If you're kind of out there and you're new to this, similar products include things like QuickBooks, right? Is going to be
Okay.
a
Yeah.
common people. Yeah, people always
Yeah.
know that one. Xero is another one that's
Okay.
based that's very similar to QuickBooks that people know a lot of, and
Yeah.
those are some of like the smaller ones. But then other people know just kind of ringing references for ERP systems, things like SAP or NetSuite.
Okay.
Those are also different types of bigger enterprise
Okay.
resource planning
Yeah.
systems. So just kind of some back context, of what Dynamics is and, what an ERP system is. So,
Yeah, that's amazing. I think you mentioned from when you started talking about your journey into Business Central, you spoke about being in F&O and then moving into Business Central. So how was your experience like moving from F&O, from finance and operation, and then going into Business Central?
yeah, so they're two similar but different products, and kind of the mindset that I had around it is, I don't even know if we switch Windows operating systems anymore, but like once upon a time, you used to get a CD in like the mail and you would like
Yeah,
upgrade your Windows operating system or something, right? And
yeah,
so sometimes you would be like on Windows 7, for example. And I probably thrown, you know what I mean? And you knew where your
yeah,
start button was and you knew how kind of everything worked, right? And then a few months would
yeah,
go by and they would say, okay, now we're going to bring out Windows 10. And it would
yeah.
be different, but you knew how to kind of get to all the same things. You know what I mean? And so that
Yeah,
was
true.
kind of my thought process in working with Business Central versus F&O, right? Like at the end
Okay,
of the day, it's a tabular based ERP system
okay.
out of Microsoft. And so, they both need to do sales orders, they both need to do
Yeah,
purchase orders. At the end of the day, they still need to have some of the same basic functionalities in them, right?
yeah,
But it's understanding that there are going to be differences. And so that was kind of one of my
okay.
first experiences and things is saying, okay, what are the
Yeah,
differences? Trying to kind of highlight that so I could have some pivot points and kind of really understand the
okay.
similarities and differences. So that was kind of what part of that experience was. I personally
Yeah.
prefer Business Central because it's a simpler product. Um, well,
Okay.
it's easier to implement. It's not as like with F&O, you have to get permission, or you have to work with Microsoft 3 months ahead of your go live date so that they can essentially give a technical sign off that your system is ready
Okay.
to go, because it's for an enterprise
Okay.
company, right? It's for somebody
Yeah.
so bigger than
Yeah.
a Business Central company, right? And so
Okay.
kind of leaning into Business Central and the Power Platform, when I first
Yes.
started in those early days, I would say that you tell F&O what
Yeah.
you're going to do, because it's so
Okay.
versatile in so many different ways that you can do things. But Business Central tells you what you're going to do because it's more structured. There's less
Okay.
options. Right? So like I can create a purchase order in both of them, but in F&O, maybe I could create it like 17 different ways, where in
Okay.
Business Central, there's like two,
Yeah.
so that was like kind of one concept. But when you extend Business Central with the Power Platform, you
Yeah.
actually get a lot more flexibility out of this ERP system, kind of
Okay.
not doing all the same things that something as robust as F&O can do, but kind of getting
Yeah.
closer to that. So yeah,
Yeah.
kind of from experiences.
Yeah. And I think there's something the differentiation you gave between F&O and Business Central. So with Business Central being so structured like that, do you think it's just for small organization or small businesses?
No, not at all. And like I said, I used to think it was a little bit more restrictive than it actually was. That was kind of my
Yeah.
first interpretation. And then as I
Okay.
started working with the product more and understood how easy it is to extend Business Central,
Yeah.
is why I emphatically say no, it is not just for small organizations. Here in the US, a SMB can be a 2-person company up to like 500, person company that are an SMB. And I would say that depending on what the organization is doing, right? Like Business Central, all of those customers. So no, it's not just for small businesses. It's for businesses. To me, it's not necessarily the size always. It's really what reporting, what data do you need out of your system? What complexity? What level of transactions are you running? Because sometimes maybe a company isn't that complex, but for whatever reason they use Business Central online or on-prem because they need more volume. Then maybe they're going to be in something like F&O because it can just handle that level. So it's not necessarily like the size of a company per se. It's just really kind of based off of what they're doing, I think, is more of the determinant.
Okay, so more of like a capability of what they want to do. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yep. That's amazing. Thank you very much for the explanation, because me myself, I was a bit confused. So thank you.
Yeah, I think it's my favorite call is when I get on somebody and they're like, I need dynamics. And I'm like, oh, this is a fun game. What dynamics do you need? What does dynamics mean to you, right? Because dynamics mean so many different things to different people because of the naming structure, right? And so some people don't realize that F&O or whatever F&O, because sometimes they separate that into, sometimes it's one, sometimes it's several, different kind of programs. Did we lose you, Rachel? Hi. Looks like we're having a little bit of technical difficulty here. We'll see here in a second as she comes back. Give me 1 second. Let me see where she's at. Let me just message her over here. It's like a real life demo when things going wrong. Gotta love technology. All right, so I think that she is officially left. Oh, she's coming back online now. I see her message coming in from Twitter. So if you're still here, hold on for just a few more seconds. Rachel will be back and we will continue our lovely conversation on the Power Platform and Business Central. Need some like nice elevator music right now. Or Taylor Swift.
Hi, Mary.
Hello.
Yeah, my laptop just went off. Yeah, technical issues. Yeah.
They happen. We gotta love them.
Yeah, thank you very much. Okay, so I think we should go to the next question, which is talk about Power Platform, how Power Platform and Dynamics 365 Business Central work together. Because I see a lot of your posts on Power Automate and Business Central. I'm like, okay, wow, what's happening? What are you extending? What are you doing? Okay, so if you can give us the gist.
Yeah, absolutely. So the reason that I really love working with these two products together is you're going to have Business Central, which is a cloud-based API, ERP system that's really, really, really easy to connect to because it already has a connector inside of Power Automate, right? So if I have a standard connector in there, that means I have access to all the standard tables within inside of Business Central. So then when I want to do things like do automated approvals, or say when an event or something happens in Business Central, I want it to take the information from that event and put it somewhere else, right? This is very common in the ERP world when we're integrating with other systems and you have big companies. They're going to work with these different things. So a lot of stuff that they're having to do is it's usually a lot of manual processes. Okay, because systems don't talk very well together, or it's very expensive to make them talk super well together. So a lot of times whenever you want, like whenever your sales order did something, whenever your purchase order did something, right? Like those types of things. We can very easily use the Power Platform to automate those processes. There's you can do customizations, you can do like ISVs, or you can use the Power Platform to automate these processes. So that's what I'm always so excited about, is just really the ease of ability for us to integrate and connect outside data with Business Central and Business Central data with external platforms is
it's amazing.
So that's kind of my excitement, you know what I mean, around it. Makes it so easy is basically you've got a cloud-based system, and then with the Power Platform and all the other connectors, it makes it so that you can connect Business Central to essentially any other system out there that you may need, which is really helpful if you're a small business trying to run your organization as efficiently as possible.
Okay, I think another question I have to ask you is, with Power Automate, like using Power Automate with Business Central, it allows you automate stuff. So I want to ask, Dynamics 365 Business Central on its own, does it have automating processes inbuilt?
It does. It has some standard like workflows, and so that's kind of, for example, like an approval for a purchase order, right? That's a common, automated process. You have native capability inside of Business Central that you can set up, and you can do that, right? So then sometimes people will ask, well, which one should I use then? So, right? Should I use the one in Business Central or Power Automate? And the good old consulting answer there is, well, it depends. And so in a situation, what I like about Power Automate, right, is sometimes you want your approval process, right, your automated process to do more than what the out-of-box automated process allows you. Right. And so that's what Power Automate does, is it allows you to do more with the out of the box workflows, and then do some stuff that's not even possible. Right. So and it's just kind of different. It's just different options. Right. So but yes, Business Central does have some great standard workflow experience as well, beyond or before Power Automate's even involved.
Yeah, that's amazing. And with talking about Power Platform, we have different applications in Power Platform apart from Power Automate. So is there any other application that works with Dynamics 365 Business Central?
They all work. They all work really, really well with it. Power Pages is on the roadmap for Business Central natively, but you can expose your data in Dataverse right now. But at the end of the day, like, you can really easily use all the components of the Power Platform with Business Central. And, like the other day, I was just working with a customer where we're going to use portals or Power Pages, right? We're going to use Power Pages for some customer and vendor onboarding, where they'll go in there, they'll put that information, and then what we're going to do is, once that information is submitted into the portal, we send it through an approval process, and then we put it into Business Central. So there we're using things like Power Pages, right? And Power Automate to write the data back to Business Central. Additionally, what we're doing there is they also want to have like an abridged sales order entry for
Okay.
sales rep. They feel like the Business Central screen's a bit too much. They just want to have a very easy screen. So what we're doing
Okay.
is we're just pulling these standard Business Central tables into Power Apps
Yeah.
for a sales order, right? And I've
Wow,
also
that's amazing.
ones before where we're using
Yeah.
PPAs as well to bring data in and out of Business Central. So,
Yes.
there's no limit on what part of the Power Platform you can use for Business Central.
Yeah, Business Central is amazing. I think for our listeners, maybe this is the first time they're hearing about Business Central, or they have businesses and they have heard about Business Central and they are looking to go into Business Central. What case study can you describe that you think will affect that business that they can use Business Central for?
Yeah. So, gosh, again, it can be so many different,
Yeah.
people, but I would say probably some of like the most surprising ones. So maybe not even surprising, but like myself, for example, right? Like I run my own company. I run Business Central, right? I run my
Yeah.
company on Business Central. So I think
Okay.
that a lot of people, and so to answer your question, I think that a lot of people that maybe are using QuickBooks, uh,
Yes.
they could be, a lot of them could be on Business Central. I would like to say probably all of them, but I won't be
Yeah.
so bold on a lot of them that it can't be edited out
Yeah.
to say such things. But basically, if you are wanting cloud-based capabilities, right? You want to be able to look at your
Okay.
financials for your organization no matter where you are, right? You
Yeah.
don't necessarily want to be tied to your desktop. You want to be able to work from anywhere. You want to be able to look at your stuff from anywhere. If
Okay.
you're, I call it Glapper, right? So it's going
Yeah.
to be running like general ledger transactions and just kind of
Okay.
standard AR, AP, that type of stuff. Business Central is so quick and easy for those users because
Wow.
that's usually what like a QuickBooks user is going to do. Um, and you're going to get a way better product. It is a little bit more expensive than QuickBooks, like there's no lying
Okay.
about that. But like the
Okay.
product that you're going to get is astronomically, more superior. Now,
Yeah.
let me also say that Business Central is so great for so many other customers, just other than super simple. So I definitely don't want
Okay.
that to be confusing. It's great for super complex customers as well. But I think if
Okay.
I'm speaking to an audience that maybe hasn't heard about Business Central before,
Yeah.
or maybe like in that SMB space, and they're like, "Oh, could Business Central be for me?" That's kind of what I want people to think is, don't think that you're too small for Business
Yeah.
Central. I think is kind of
Wow.
the
Okay.
scenario or the concept that I want to get across, is because it can meet so many different customers and users.
Yeah, that's amazing. I think another question I want to ask you concerning case study on Business Central is that do you think that Business Central is just on a specific category of organization? Like, how would I put this? That, okay, let me say, for instance, sports, yeah, stuff like that. So,
For you mean for like different types of like industries, or is it more? Is it? Yeah,
industries.
yeah.
Yeah, is it specific to one industry or anybody can use it?
Again, I sound so like rosy colored glasses. Like, your Business Central is so great. I'm not getting paid by Microsoft, but they could consider it. No, so,
Yeah.
again, what's beautiful, this is actually what I just love about Business Central. This is what I say, is it can really be anything, just about anything that somebody needs it to be from an industry perspective, right? So at the end of the day, you're going to have this really amazing cloud brain that's going to run all of your financials, and
Okay.
it can flex and fit to different industries, because you have a lot of other companies and ISVs that have verticals and like basically like add-ons that go into Business Central that
Okay.
make it really, really strong in
Yeah.
various, industries, like maybe for distribution and warehouse management, right? Standalone Business
Okay.
Central can do an okay job, right? But there's going
Yeah.
to be some other ISVs that say, hey, we integrate with Business
Okay.
Central. We're an API cloud-based company, so we fit on
Yeah.
top of Business Central and really, extend out the product so it can meet this industry. Where another company, maybe they're in oil and gas, right? And they're like, hey, we
Yes.
know that Business Central would be so great if we just added these few capabilities, because everyone in the
Okay.
oil and gas industry needs this. So again, because
Yeah.
it's a cloud-based product and we're API
Yes.
based, let's integrate and sit on top of Business Central, right? And so
Yeah.
so many different industries that have these verticals, right, that sit on top of Business Central, so that Business Central can be that. And if there's not one already, right, maybe there's just some few like
Yes.
things that we need, then that's again where the Power Platform can kind of come in, or other organizations and companies and ISVs are switching their traditional integration approaches and putting it on the Power Platform so that they, right, is industry experts in their vertical can meet their Business Central customers really, really super easy. So
yeah, that's amazing. That's really, really amazing.
That or I sell it really well. I don't know. I'm really obsessed.
Yeah, it's really, really amazing. I did not know that Business Central is amazing like this. It's really, really good. And if you are listening to this podcast, definitely jump on Business Central.
Yeah.
Either you're an organization, a business, or you're just an individual that wants to learn about Business Central. Microsoft Learn is there for you, and a lot of people in the community, they post a lot of blogs, videos on Business Central. Yeah.
And what I will say about Business Central too, like if you're like, okay, I'm an accounting guru or accounting junkie and I love numbers and I love tech and I want to get into ERP consulting, Business Central is easier to learn than F&O or AX because it's so easy to get a test environment. It is not easy to get like an AX test environment, but you can go to like dynamics.com or businesscentral.com and say start a free trial and throw in an email and instantly again have a cloud-based environment where you can get your demo environment, one scenario, and then jump over to learn like Microsoft Learn documentation and start off module 1. And it's so easy to be able to teach yourself this product because you can get it very easily.
Yeah, it's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
And if I want to ask, what advice should you give someone who is trying to come into, apart from the learning process, is there any soft skill or anything you think that will help them with their journey, with their learning journey?
As far as learning Business Central, do you mean?
Yes.
So I would say that I don't know if it's relevant to just Business Central, but maybe more of ERP consulting. Some soft skills that I would say that are maybe a little bit more specific to that would be requirement gatherings, is like your soft skills. And like I feel like every conversation that you're having with a client or customer is like a requirement gathering, conversation. And so when I'm thinking about training my customers on Business Central, or that like training them how to use it, I'm always thinking about what role do I have, what role before me, and what role is behind me, right? And so I try to teach people that whenever we're training in Business Central, it's kind of like a soft skill and a technical skill all at the same time, right? If you can be aware and mindful of what your colleagues are doing, then you can create a more harmonious, honestly efficient approach if you know where your roadblocks are. But you can't know where your roadblocks are unless you know what other people are doing, right? If you just live in your own world, you don't have a clue, right? So whether I am trying to learn something or whether I'm training people, right, I would call it a soft skill of just being like awareness of the situation. And so you're always kind of requiring gatherings, right? Or gathering requirements to say, well,
yes.
has a question. Why do they have that question? Where did this question come from? By giving them an answer, who is that going to impact, right? And so I don't know. That would be, I guess, a soft skill that I would suggest in that, because you're gonna learn a whole lot coming out of that. So I'm not sure if that makes sense, but
yeah, it does. I think it does. Not I think it does. It does actually, because you still need that too for Microsoft Power Platform.
Yeah. Well, it's like it's that same concept. I think maybe with any consulting, right? And for me,
Yes.
I would say that like when I first got into consulting, I don't know that I would say I was a good consultant if I'm being really honest. Um, because it's hard because it's a learning experience, right? Because it's
Yeah.
learning about, what's good and bad. And so I kind of just give that piece of advice saying, okay, looking back, right? Like looking back at this journey of consulting and
Okay.
transitioning and gaining confidence in it, what if I could have one thing, like looking back, what would have helped me gain that confidence or like find my
Yeah.
legs quicker in consulting? I would say it's
Okay.
being able to have that requirements gathering,
Yes.
conversation when you're with customers. So yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think another thing too, for especially with working with a client, you have to be able to listen to what they, I think you said it, like listen to what they need and also find out like any question they have, who it affects. Yeah. So
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But to your point too, you need to not only do you need to be able to listen, like you need to be able to come when you're going to listen, you need to be knowledgeable enough
Yeah.
on the product to know
Yes.
one, what you don't know, and two, how to slightly advise them, like on the fly. You know what I mean? Or to say
Yeah.
like they're giving you requirements, you need to at least know like, okay, this is their process, so they could do it this way or they could do it that way. We need to
Yeah.
have a conversation. But if you don't know what your system does,
Yeah.
right,
No idea. Yeah.
then
I
all
have
you're
no
doing
answer.
is answer is taking questions down, putting them on a piece of paper, and then handing that piece of paper or that OneNote to somebody else and being like, here, this is your problem, and that's not a
Yeah.
good consultant. You're not bringing
No.
value to where you're working, right? If that's
Yeah.
all you're doing. So I would say honestly that was an early mistake that I made. So just
Yeah.
sharing with others.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I think we have spent 35 minutes apart from the technical issues we had. So,
Perfect. Yeah.
yeah, thank you very much, everyone, for staying with us. And thank you so much, Mary.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks
you.
for having me. Hope everyone has a great Friday.
Yeah, have a great weekend and a great Friday. So,
Yep, thanks. You
bye.
too. Bye.
Yeah. Okay.